The history of the ancient Sudan has been unknown to the great public, but also to science since many, many generations. This has changed in the middle of the 19th century when a Prussian expedition headed by a certain Richard Lepsius was sent to an archaeological exploration campaign to the Nile Valley. And Lepsius, this is really extraordinary, had decided from the very beginning of his planning to include the Sudanese Nile Valley in this travel plan. And he was the first to explore carefully all the visible remains of the great ancient history of the Sudan, from Aswan up to Khartoum and Sennar on the Blue Nile. The real explosion, I would say, of archaeological work in the Sudan started only in the last decades after the Second World War. And here, Germany has played a considerable role. First, the Humboldt University in Berlin, and then different institutions all over Germany. Right now, we have 10 German expeditions working in the Sudan, and the results of these excavations and the connected studies have brought, I would say, a revolution of our knowledge. Nowadays, we know for sure that the cultural evolution started in the Sudan at least in the 10th millennium BC, and comparable developments in the Egyptian Nile Valley had to wait for 5,000 years. This means the roots of pharaonic civilization, and therefore the roots of Greek and Roman and finally European civilization in general, lie in the north of the Sudan. When Egypt woke up, so to say, at around 4,500 BC, the Sudan had already a long cultural tradition. I think this is an important message, not only for scholars, not only for science, but this is an important message for the Sudan in general. This could give and should give the country the self-consciousness to be the cradle of human civilization, not only in Northeast Africa, but in the ancient world in general. Meroe remained for half a millennium the capital of a very powerful, independent nation. They erected their palaces in Meroe and their temples. They buried their queens and kings in the pyramids of Bejrawiya. If you go on the paved road from Khartoum via Shendi to Atbara, you see at a given moment on the right side, on the dunes of the desert east of the Nile, this skyline of the Meroitic pyramids. This is a unique experience. The rulers of the Meroitic kingdom have erected their royal tombs in the shape of pyramids for more than half a millennium. The extraordinary thing of the necropolis, the burial ground of the royal family of Meroe, is that all these pyramids are grouped together. Queens and kings and queens, this is important since women played an important role in ancient Sudanese society, also in politics. Some of them ruled the country independently. Queens and kings of Meroe erected their pyramids, one exactly besides the other. The Sudanese rulers felt as a community. I think this is one of the many typical African features of the Sudanese history, of the Sudanese self-understanding, to be a community, not only during life, but also after passing away. The deceased queens and kings remained a community. They remained together. This treasure of Amani-Shakheto is representative for this character of the Sudanese past to serve as a bridge between Africa and the Mediterranean, since the signet rings of the queens, the bracelets, and the necklaces of this treasure show in some pieces clearly Hellenistic features, in other pieces completely independent African forms. And the city where the kings ruled and lived, the city of Meroe, is lying west of the pyramids near the Nile, in the agriculture, and therefore the ruins of former temples and palaces are seriously damaged. Only the ground walls are preserved, enough for archaeologists to reconstruct the city and the temples and the palaces.